Hey, here we go again, family, friends, and fellow movie lovers. Jeffrey Michael here, and welcome to a crazy rich edition of Jeffrey Michael's Movie Reviews Extravaganza. In this video, I'll be reviewing the movies that were released on August the 17th, 2018. Okay, so the first movie that I'll review for you is Crazy Rich Asians, rated PG-13. It stars Constance Wu, Henry Golding, Michelle Yeoh, Gemma Chan, Awkwafina, and Ken Jeong, and was directed by John M. Chu, who already brought you such films like Step Up to the Streets, Step Up 3D, G.I. Joe Retaliation, yuck, Gem and the Holograms, double yuck, and Now You See Me, 2. Now, Crazy Rich Asians is based on the first of a trilogy of books by Kevin Kwan. Actually, interesting fact, ladies and germs, Crazy Rich Asians is the first Hollywood film to feature an all-Asian cast since the Joy Luck Club in 1993. I mean, that's kind of sad when you think about that. 25 years it took. I mean, but on the plus side, I mean, better late than never. And also, because this movie was such a success, they're planning to adapt the other two books. So hopefully we'll see another all-Asian cast movie soon. Hopefully. So Crazy Rich Asian starts off. We're introduced to our main character, Rachel Chu, played by Constance Wu. That rhymes. So Rachel Chu is an economics professor who works at NYU. And we find out that she's a first-generation Chinese American. That's right, her mother was Chinese and came over and raised her all by herself in America for a better life. And they were raised, lower middle class. They didn't have a lot of money. And as the movie starts off, Rachel is enjoying a night out with her long-term boyfriend, Nick Young, played by Henry Golding. And he decides, we've been dating for a while. Let's go over to Singapore, a trip to Singapore so you can meet my family. Oh, really? Your family? Yeah, besides, my best friend Colin is getting married, and I'm his best man, so we're going to his wedding. All right, then. And we find out that Colin, his best friend, is marrying Araminta, who is the most popular fashion icon in all of Asia, and it's the wedding of the century. In fact, it's like the royal wedding of Asia. And then Rachel finds out not long into their plane ride into their trip that Nick has been keeping something from him throughout their whole relationship. He's not just rich; he's crazy rich. In fact, he's the sole heir to one of the wealthiest families in all of Asia. And Rachel is all dumbfounded and aghast. You mean to tell me I've been dating the Prince William of Asia this whole time? No, no. Much more of a Harry. And as on the plane ride there, he prepares her by introducing all of his family members. We learn through a montage we meet Alistair, his cousin, who's a big movie director in Asia, and he also is a womanizer. He's constantly dating these actors slash model. And there's his other cousin Edison, who's a high investment banker. And then there's his other third cousin, Astrid, who Rachel takes a liking to right away when she meets her. And also she's having marital problems with her husband, Michael. And then no sooner does Rachel land that she meets Colin and his bride, and they become good friends. And it's not long before Rachel also meets her old college friend who's living there, Paik Lin, who's hilariously played by Awkwafina. At one point, a character describes her, she looks like an Asian Ellen. And for that reason alone, ladies and germs, she's my favorite character. And actually, she's probably would be your favorite character too if you saw the movie, because she delivers such a hilarious character. I mean, she is just so makes you laugh out loud. And also, Ken Jeong turns up in a cameo as her father, who's also equally funny. And the two of them bring such are the standouts of the film. But the main family member that Rachel has to watch out for, Nick warns her, is his mother, Eleanor, played wonderfully by Michelle Yeoh. I mean, she does a great job playing this warm yet controlling domineer of a mother who really wants the best for her only son, Nick, who stands to inherit the family fortune. And also, she doesn't believe that a commoner like Rachel will be able to handle the pressure of being married to Nick, and also being able to handle, being put up with all the other wealthy Asian families and having connections and all that sort of thing. And so, of course, she's against this whole relationship, and she tries to play nice, but she just can't hold in. You're not right for my son, and you never will be. Well, I'm going to prove you wrong then. And so that's pretty much the whole brunt of the movie. It's a romantic comedy about a girl trying to prove her worth to her via her boyfriend's family, and all the while, there's hilarious antics, and we learned all about crazy rich culture of Asia, like how the important lessons, like how no one likes free stuff more than rich people, and that's so true. And overall, I thought this movie was really a nice time at the movies, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it was romantic, it was funny, it was at times dramatic, and sad. You feel for these characters, and you see great moments where the females have to stand up for themselves to their men, and it's like, female empowerment, good for you. And all the while, the acting, especially from Michelle Yeoh, she does a great job as the mother. And like I said, Aquafina just steals the movie. She is so great as Asian Ellen Peik Lin. And a couple quibbles. I mean, I saw it with my mother and brother, this movie, and there are a couple moments where we thought, some out of character moments, and also some got a little too lighthearted at times when they're dealing with serious issues. But that's to be expected, though, when you're dealing with a romantic comedy. You can't go too serious, otherwise, it's supposed to be, rom-com. It's supposed to be light, and fun, and so yeah, maybe there could have been a bit more weight to the serious issues. But overall, I had a great time watching this, and I think you all will too. For my grade, I give this movie a B plus. Not quite perfect, but still a wonderful, like one of the best romantic comedies I've seen in years. I mean, that's a dying breed, the romantic comedy, because it's just gotten so bad over the years. But this is, I think, the one film that might just resuscitate the whole romantic comedy genre, and I hope it does. And I also hope that we get more movies in the future with more Asian actors, because it's a wholly underrepresented ethnicity in Hollywood movies, for years. It's just less than 1%. I mean, that's sad considering that Asians make up a majority of the population of the earth anyway. So, yeah, hopefully we won't have to wait another 25 years for the next all Asian cast Hollywood movie. Keeping my fingers crossed, because I recommend that you all go see this movie quickly, because a sequel will be coming soon, and I'm sure it'll be equally as good. Go and see Crazy Rich Asians, everyone, and support our fellow Asian actors. So the next film that I'll review for you is Mile 22, rated R. It stars Mark Wahlberg, Lauren Cohen, John Malkovich, and Iko Uwais, and was directed by Peter Berg, who already brought you such great films like Friday Night Lights, Lone Survivor, Deepwater Horizon, and Patriots Day. Now, Mile 22 is about an American Black Ops agent named James Silva, played by Mark Wahlberg. And he's part of a strike team codenamed Overwatch. And another one of his strike team members is Alice, played by Lauren Cohen. And their team leader is Bishop, played by John Malkovich. And the movie starts off, they're infiltrating a Russian safe house in the United States. They have copious shipments of cesium that they're planning to use to weaponize to kill thousands. And so they infiltrate the house and kill everybody inside and try to destroy all the cesium. Unfortunately, they discover that some people escape with some of the cesium. And so the mission is declared a failure. And so months go by, and one of their members, Alice, comes across a disc that contains information on the remaining cesium that's out there. The problem is that the information is being destroyed on the disc, is destroying itself on the disc, and in a couple hours it will be gone for good. And so in comes a Indonesian double agent of the Russians, Lee Noor, played by Iko Uwais, who is a real-life martial artist who turned actor. And he explains to them, I have the code that will help that disk, stop destroying the information so you can use it to find the cesium. The problem is, terrorists know about my location here of the U.S. Embassy in Indonesia, and I want safe passage out of this country. Then I'll give you the code, and you can use it to get the rest of the cesium. Now, they are reluctant to trust him, but eventually they agree to his terms. And so they have to get him the 22 miles from the embassy to the airstrip to get him out of the country, hence the movie title Mile 22. It sounds simple enough, right? The problem is, all the terrorists know about him and they don't want him giving that information. So no sooner do they set off in their convoy, those 22 miles, when, they get bombarded with missiles and guns and terrorists and keep coming, one after another. And they have to keep fighting them off. And there's a lot of action, quick cut action. And that's pretty much the whole movie right there. Like, getting this guy that 22 miles to that airstrip. I mean, that's pretty much the movie right there. Action packed nonstop. And can they get him to that airstrip so they can give him the code so they can finally get the information they need to track down the rest of the CCM to prevent any further terrorist attacks? I mean, that's the whole movie you're watching then. Now, for my review, I have to say, if I describe this movie in just 3 words, I would pick confusing, chaotic, mess. Yeah, that would pretty much sum it all up. I mean, whew, this movie, it tries to go for action, nonstop action-packed scenes from start to finish. But the problem is that the editing, oh my gosh, the editing is all over the place. I mean, like I said, it's chaotic. It's like going from like a shootout, and then it cuts away to one quick person for like a brief, under a second, then cuts to another cut, and then cuts to here, and cuts to here, cuts to there, and all over the place. Then it's just frantic action. I mean, when you have that much editing problems, I mean, it just makes the big frenzied like kind of mess. You don't know where your eye's supposed to go since it's moving so fast, like a whiplash kind of speed. I mean, I'm actually convinced that perhaps that the editor of this movie was a teenager with ADHD who missed his Ritalin medication. I'm thoroughly convinced of that. And the problem is that these characters like keep doing one stupid thing after another. And when you have a character like Lee Noir, Iko Uwais, like I said, is a martial artist, and he shows off some impressive moves throughout the movie, but when you have such frantic editing, it's become such a chore to watch, because it's like, why are you not spending your time, focusing on these great, fight scenes when you're cutting back and forth so much? And I feel kind of bad for the actors because they do their best. I mean, Marky Mark, he does his best playing an agent. He's always good in these kind of roles, but and he's worked with the director Peter Berg before on Lone Survivor and Patriots Day and Deepwater Horizon. So these are all great movies by the director, so it's surprising to see such a mediocre one from him. And, it's just 90 minutes, it's a very short movie, so it's basically frantic action in just 90 minutes, and that's pretty much the whole movie. Overall, I'd have to give this movie, ladies and gentlemen, a C-. I could go lower, I really could, but, I elevated my grade a little bit because the actors do their best, and there are some impressive, fight scenes, but they're all really let down by poor directing and poor editing, and just like I said, it's a chaotic mess of a movie. So would I recommend that you all go see it? No, do not see it, please. I mean, they're already talking about making a sequel or a bunch of films, in this making a franchise out of this, but I hope they don't do that because I didn't really care for the first one, and if they do, I don't plan to see it, or I probably will see it because I'm a movie critic, but yeah, I don't think any of you should see this movie or any further sequels. Just avoid altogether. Marky Mark, he'll bounce back, I'm sure, but this movie, you guys, don't do it. Moving on. All right, the last film that I will review for you from August the 17th is Alpha, rated PG-13. It stars Cody Smith-McPhee and was directed by Albert Hughes, who already brought you such films like From Hell and The Book of Eli. Now, Alpha is set 20,000 years ago on the continent of Europe during the Upper Paleolithic era. In layman's terms, that means the time of the early humans. Anyway, so we're introduced to a tribe of hunters and gatherers, and the tribe's chief is training his adolescent son, Kada, played by Cody Smith-McPhee, to become the news member of their hunting party. And the wife and mother is worried. I don't think he's ready. No, he's definitely ready. They don't actually speak English in this movie, but... And so they travel many, many miles away to hunt down this herd of bison. And they have to hurry because winter is coming. And they have to get their food supply ready because they won't be able to have any more food till spring comes. So it's serious. And no sooner do they reach that big old plateau where all the bison are, when they stampede toward them, and Kada gets attached to one of the horns of one of those bison and carries them across the plateau to the cliffside. and he sends them flying and sailing off of the cliff. And the chief is devastated. My son is dead. Because they don't see any body down below. And so they declare that, they've lost another member of their tribe, and saddened, they take their food and they go back the many miles back to their tribe's camp. And it's then that we reveal at the bottom of this ravine that Kata actually survived the fall, but his leg was horribly damaged, and so he has to set it back in place by smashing rocks against. And then he tries to walk again, but then that's when he's ambushed by a pack of wolves, and the alpha leads this wolves up to where he has to run up a tree, and then he ends up stabbing and wounding the leader, the alpha wolf, and the other wolves retreat and being scared by what happened with their alpha. And it's then that Kata takes the injured wolf to a cave, and he manages to nurse him back to health, but the wolf is still doesn't trust him, and so over a while, he learns to give him food whenever he no, you earn it when you're ready to give it to you, and they start to slowly but surely earn trust within each other. And it's then when Kata has to get more going because he has an injured leg, and he has many miles to go before winter comes to get back to his tribe. And the wolf, who he named Alpha because he's the alpha wolf of the pack, decides to go along with him. No, you're not coming with me. And then the wolf decides to follow him anyway, so fine. And so the two of them set on a journey. And can he make it those many miles back to his tribe's camp and reunite with his tribe before winter? Exciting stuff. First of all, this movie I thought overall was a really well done movie. I mean, the main themes of this movie is a boy's journey from being a boy into a man, finding the courage and the willpower to find the strength within himself. And it's also a movie that demonstrates like the earliest record of, a man and canine, forming that bond that has lasted throughout the thousands of years since, man and dog being best friends. That first story of man and canine coming together and finding trust with each other to secure a relationship throughout the rest of time. And so overall, I thought this was a great movie. I mean, the acting, especially by Cody Smith-McPhee, he's alone for most of the movie was beside the wolf. And so he does a great job of portraying this like sad boy who's scared and, doesn't know what to do and how to survive and has to find his inner courage and strength and, his turmoil. And I thought he did a great job, Cody Smith-McPhee. He's a nice young actor, I think. And also the cinematography. I mean, the director does a great job of displaying this past world that we will never see again, of an Earth where, there's beautiful stars, so many stars you can see because there's no electric lights to block it out, and the ranging, the landscapes that have been untouched by man. I mean, wow, it's beautiful cinematography in the movie. There are a couple quibbles, though. I mean, it is a bit slow at times, like the slow pace. It's like the story can go a little long here, a little slowing down here, and also the visual effects at times, like the animals, like the herd of bison, are not very good. I mean, the special effects could have been better. They were kind of, you could tell it's not actual animals, it's just computer effects, and the whole point of effects is they're not supposed to look like effects. I mean, so yeah, that wasn't very good. But overall, I thought that this was a great modern-day survival story. I mean, critics are comparing it to like the Black Stallion of this generation, and Black Stallion was also a movie where a boy gets lost and he befriends an animal, and they try to find their way to survive. In the case, it was on an island in that movie, but overall, I think this was a great movie, and my grade, I would give it a B. Yeah, a nice solid B, I think. I mean, it's not perfect. It's got those quibbles I mentioned, but yeah, it's a nice, heartwarming, and death-defying and suspenseful film. Is he going to make it to the end? And also, since there's not really a whole lot of violence or cursing or anything, it's actually a good family film. So if the whole family wants to see it, then it's definitely a good film for the family to see because it's about a boy and his dog basically. And how can anyone not fall for a movie like that? I mean, come on, a boy and his dog. And would I recommend it? Definitely. If you or and your family want to see this movie, then go and see Alpha. You won't be disappointed with this one, Just see the story of how man's best friend became man's best friend. Moving on. I'm not crazy rich yet, so I'm going to continue doing these movie reviews and the recap. Recap. Crazy Rich Asians, B+. Really romantic and funny film with a great all-Asian cast and a film that single-handedly rejuvenates the long-dead romantic comedy genre. I highly recommend this film to everyone. Please go and see this one. You won't regret it. Mile 22, C minus. A confusing, badly edited mess of an action film starring Marky Mark. I don't recommend this film to anyone, so don't even bother. Ugh. And finally, Alpha, B. A well-acted, beautifully shot film set 20,000 years ago that does a great job telling the story of how man and man's best friend formed that indelible relationship that has stood the test of time. A great movie to watch with the whole family, so I recommend it for the whole family to watch. And that'll do it for another crazy rich edition of Jeffrey Michaels Movie Reviews Extravaganza. Until next time, happy movie watching, everybody! See you all real soon.